55b משנה, שישה דברים עשו אנשי יריחו, על שלושה מיחו בידם ועל שלושה לא מיחו בידיים. Since we talk about type of work, the eve of Passover, so we talk also about different minhagim that people of the city of Yericho involved. Three of them, the sages were not happy, and the other three, they are okay. It's important to note that all the six were not in the spirit of the sages, but there is a difference between objecting it in a strong manners or letting it go. So number one, ואילו הם שלא מיחו בידם. First is the list of the items the sages did not express objections. מרכיבין דקלין כל היום. So it was a eve of Passover, a time that not allowed to do work. If you remember, we said that after Chatzot, after the middle of the day of eve of Passover, we don't do work. So what they did is they do harkava. We explained in the previous session that as far as they're planting something, you can combine. Remember when we speak about the etrogim, and we said that there are certain etrogim that they're planting the seed with several different items. So as a result, it's come out in a better quality. So the harkava, meaning it's not totally pure seed. So this is the eve of Passover. So the sages were not happy that they graft palm tree at that time. Number two, וחורכים את שמה. Later the Gemarrah explained it. וקוצרים וגודשים לפני הקרבת העומר. And they will harvest and pile grain before the Omer offering was bought. So the Torah tells us in the book of Vaikra, Leviticus 23, that we cannot eat from the new harvest, which is, we have the 5 species of grain, and we have the time, we have to bring the Omer offering. We explained 2 days ago. And this was called Isur Chadash, something fresh, new, after Passover. So the Torah tells us, Vehavetem et Omer Reshit Tzirchem. You should bring the first of your field. So there are certain situations that you have, for example, food that it's in a Bik'ah, in a valley, and you know that the harvest that come out of valley, it's not the best quality. So you don't bring an omer, and it's not considering a chisaron, that you have something deficient by not, because it has to be the best. Now, there are some locations that the harvest is ready much earlier than the proper time. So the concern is that it may spoil. So the rabbi said, even you harvested and it left in the field, it's not going to be spoiled. So therefore the sages not objected it. But the sages put a decree that you should not put it as a pile, because if you do that, you may come to the violation of eating the chadash, the new one. So again, the key is that it wasn't in the spirit of the sages to do it. Ve'elu shemichu biyadam, and here are the 3 items the sages object the people of Jericho, matirin gamziot shel hekdesh. So it turns, they have certain items that they are consecrated, it's hekdesh, and they take these branches of cherub, and the problem is, in one hand they give it to Bedek Habayit, which means they give it for hekdesh, but they said that the toladot, what they derive from that contribution, is not going to be hekdesh. So the sages felt that it's like misuse of a hekdesh, because since you do it every 7 years, you're cutting this cherub tree, and then it's coming back. It's a feeling like you're taking something for your personal need. So the Meiri explained they felt that it's like it's not original, it's derivative. Anyway, next, Nun Vav 56 ואוכלין מתחת הנשרים בשבת. Then later the Gemarrah explained what does that mean, that they will eat fallen fruit from beneath the palm tree that shed fruits that had fallen on Shabbat. ונותנים פאה לירק. So even the yarak is like the vegetables, they exempt from the pe'ah. The poor people hold that this is something that exempt for tithe, and basically it's a problem. Let me go just for a moment a little more in explanation. The Torah said, book of Vayikra, chapter 19, that you have to leave something. If you own a field, you have to leave a corner for the poor people. Now, yerek, which means this type of vegetables, you don't have to bring a pe'ah. Why? Because it's basically hefker. It's exempt from maaser. Now, the problem is, if you basically doing that, giving pe'ah, so what happened to the poor people? You cause them to eat something that wasn't tight, which is called tevel. So therefore the sages were not happy with that. Next, umechu b'yadam chachamim. So in other words, for all these three, the sages were unhappy. So the sages, in a sense, reprimanded the people of Yericho. Now, since we speak in the Mishnah about 6 items that the sages are not happy, 3 they reprimand and 3 not. Now we put another 6 items that also they did without asking the sages, and the sages are not happy. So this is part of the Mishnayot in Pesachim, but not everyone agree that it's part of the Mishnah. Tanu Rabbanan, Shisha dvarim asa Chizkiya המלך, על 3 הודו לו ועל 3 לא הודו לו. Chizkiya was a king, righteous king, was a son of a wicked king by the name of Achaz. Chizkiya initiated 3 actions. The sages were happy with 3 and unhappy with the other, which are: number 1 is Girer Atzmot Aviv. Achaz was a wicked person, so Chizkiya felt that he should make an atonement, Rashi said, for his father, by doing what? By breaking his father's idols upon passing. Now, so what did he do? He broke the idol, and then he took his father born at the time of burial, and he put it on the bed that was made of a robe. In other words, he did not give him the proper respect that the king had. In other words, a person, upon passing, you treated the deceased with a certain respect. There is a difference between a king, general, and a lay person. King, especially in those days, they made it in a very special, respected way, yet Hizkiah felt, since his father was a wicked, and he wanted to sanctify the name of God by telling people that he was not doing what he's supposed to do, and he wanted to warn people that that's not the way to serve God properly. So therefore he did it. Now, you should know that it's not so simple. The code Shulchan Aruch, Yoreh De'ah Siman Reish Mem, has a discussion how you're treating the deceased, the parent deceased after perishing. There is an opinion that a person, if the father was a wicked, he does not need to give him the respect. But there are others who said that he does have to give respect regardless. So therefore, that's one thing that of the thing that the vehodulo, that the sages were concede to him. Kitet nechasha nechoshet. So the Torah tells us that close to the end of the 40 years when the Jewish people were in the desert, they began speaking against God and against Moses' leadership. So God punished them, and he sent them those serpents. It's a very famous Mishnah in Tractate Rosh Hashanah, page 29. The Mishnah tells us that Moshe Rabbeinu brought them back, and this is a famous text in the Torah, and they saw the same serpent, and after they make tshuva, and it heals them. So the Mishnah tells us it's not Moses who did it, it's not Moshe Rabbeinu, it was the idea of act of tshuva that changed the situation. So here, people basically worship that. They felt that it's a godly item, and Vehodulo and the sages concede to him that he should abrogate it. Ganaz Sefer Refuot. So it was a book that, in a simple way, you say that it's a healing book. But the idea is, there are several opinions. One said that people depend upon that. In other words, instead of searching the cause of the disease, which is lack of teshuvah, that people are not making a self-search and returning to God, they depend upon that book. How do you have a quick way, instant way to be healed? And therefore he opposed it. There is other opinion that said that it was misused for drugs, for killing people, or it was made by idolaters. Anyway, Vehodulo, the sages concede with him. Shlosha lo dulo, and there are three items the sages are not concede with him, not happy with him. Number one, קיצץ דלתות של היכל ושיגרן למלך אשור. Sanherib was the king of Assyria, and under his domain it was a great taxes, very high level of taxes, and with all of that he used the treasury of the king in such a level that they need to raise more taxes and more taxes, and they waste that money all the times. Yet Chizkiah felt, since an other domain, so he scraped the doors, the golden doors of the sanctuary, and he gave it to him. So Rashi said he should trust God, he should not do that. So the sages were not happy with that, because they felt it's like bizuya mikdash, it's a desecration or denigration of Beit HaMikdash. So they feel that they should depend upon God, give him different bribe, but not scraping the doors of Beit HaMikdash. Next, Satam Mei Gichon HaElyon. It was a river that's called Gichon. So he sealed the water of the Gichon stream, which means he diverted the water into the sea, which means he makes such a special tunnel, so the Assyrian army cannot get to Jerusalem to have water. Velo hodu lo, because Isaiah said, it's a famous text in the book of King, chapter 19, he said, Veganoti la'ir hazot lehoshi'a. God promised that he will protect the city of Yerushalayim, and therefore, since he have a promise that Jerusalem will not lo tipol, not fall, so therefore he shouldn't do it. Velo hodu lo, not consider him. Iber Nisan ben Nisan, velo hodu lo. So the Torah said you should observe the month of spring, and you should make Passover to the Lord your God. So, meaning that Passover that occurred in the month of Nisan, it has to be in a springtime. So, since we have in a year 354 days, and which is basically in addition 11 days and a quarter less than the regular lunar year, so every year the month of Nisan getting close to winter in several days. So you have to make every several years a leap year. So since Hillel made our calendar, there is a 7 years that it's leap year, any circle of 19 years in such a permanent way. That's a famous Gemarrah in Sanhedrin, page 10. But Amen. But before the time of that set-up calendar, it was a discussion among the Bet Din, the rabbinic court, if we should make the year a leap year and add a month or not. So it wasn't a permanent way. The Rambam in Halachot Kiddush HaChodesh, chapter 4, explain that the reason why they try to avoid doing that, but if they did it, it was only up to the time of Nisan, because the moment the month of Nisan begin, so you not add another month. Chizkiah, with his rabbinic court, after he made the month of Nisan and sanctified the new month, he regretted, and then he made that month what? The second month of Adar. So basically what happened here? Here's Iber Nisan ben Nisan. He made a leap year of the second month of Adar when it's already beginning of the month of Nisan. So the sages were not happy. It happened right at the beginning of his reign, right after his father Ahaz, the wicked king, passed, and he did it for good. He felt that people will not be ready to purify themselves from the state of impurity, from all this idolatry, and it will not be enough time for people to do what? To bring a paschal offering, because they have to be in a state of purity. So therefore he make month of Nisan when it's already the month, the leap year. Velo dulo. And the sages were not happy. There is a famous Gemarrah in Sanhedrin 12 that explains it. Anyway, now we elaborate what we said in the Mishnah. Markivin lekalin kol hayom. That they, people in Jericho, will graft a palm tree the entire day of 14 of Nisan. So the Gemarrah asks, Heche Abdi, how they combine the graft the palm tree. Amar Rav Yehuda, Maitei Asad Dara. So Rav Yehuda said they brought fresh marble, but it's like a wet. You see it in Arbaat Aminim. Veshichra the Dafna, and strong beer made from the fruit of laurel tree. V'chkimcha de sarei de rami b'mana de lo chalfa le-40 yomi. So there is a barley flour that was cast into a vessel, but it's not the 40 days from the time of grain, right? Umar techelehu, they boil all together. So they take down the mix. V'shadu ledikla belibei. They put it at the centerpiece of the core of the palm tree. So since he combined the myrtle and the other one inside the palm tree, so it's just the Chazon Ish explained in Kil'ain chapter 2 that it's not really combining the two seeds like a regular process of Harkava. It's just improving the quality of the palm tree. V'chol dekay b'arba modidei. So since it was within the 4 cubits of that palm tree, because otherwise, if you don't have it, it will dry out right away. So because the tree will absorb all these items they have in the ground in its 4 cubits. That's the way it survives. Otherwise it will dry out. Rav Acha Brei de Rav Amar Manchei Kufra Dichra Lenukveta. They place a palm of a male palm tree on the female, so the female tree will yield fruit. So basically they use that term because it was one branch that's giving, one branch is a recipient. They hold, the Gemarrah explained that it's like davar aved, that it's something that you have lost if you don't do it even on intermediary days. But the sages are not happy because they said that you should not do this type of work on the intermediary day, even not in Jerusalem, and even the time that the temple is not in existence. The second, v'chorchin et shema. Rambam tells us, Hilchot Kriyat Shema, it's a biblical commandment to do Shema twice a day. Now, if you pay attention at Shema, you see that there are 3 different paragraphs. So, he said, Heche Abdi, how they did it, Amar Rav Yehuda, Omrim Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Velo hayu mafsikin. So, you need to prolong the word echad, and then stop for a second, because the first line is acceptance of the yoke of heaven, and the ahavta is the point of mitzvot, of commandment, but they put it together as one item. So if you pay attention, we have the idea of Baruch Shem Kvod Malchuto L'Olam Va'ed. So Tosfot said that it carries a different meaning when you combine it. But the key is, it wasn't the way the sages instructed people that should separate. Rav Amar, mafsikin hayu, they separate between אחד and ואהבת, אלא שהיו אומרים היום על לבביך. So the mashma hayom al levavecha velo machar al levavecha, which means if you pay attention to the way that the Hebrew words written here, you have ayin lamed and you have another lamed, and we have to say al levavecha, right? So it's two different words, and is expressed upon your heart. You shall love your Lord, your God, with all your heart. So, if you not separate between them, it means that in a way, it's not from the time of receiving the Torah, and the sages were not happy with that. In other words, the pronunciation of the word should be in a way that distinguishes them, the letters. There are other interpretations of that. Anyway, Tanu Rabbanan, Keitzad hayu korchin et Shema. How the people of Jericho say Shema? אומרים Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. They said the line. ולא היו מפסיקים, דברי רבי מאיר. They just continue on without stopping. רבי יהודה אומר מפסיקים, אלא שלא היו אומרים ברוך שם כבוד מלכות עולם. Remember what we said? That after we done with Shema, we said Echad, then we say silently, only on Yom Kippur, but other than that, we said silently, Baruch Shem, blessed name of the Hashem, the King, for everlasting. So, if they wrap it up together, Rashi explained here, and he used the word klomar, so I explained it in my book. Rashi said, וכורחים, כלומר שהיו מדבקים כל הקריאה כמו שהיא ולא היו מוסיפים. So, usually korech, meaning you wrap it, like you glue it. So, he explained, it's like you taking a different text and you combine them, but in a way it's combining three different items that each of them carries a different meanings. So Rashi wants to tell us that even according to Rabbi Yehuda, the korchin, meaning it's like gluing, putting together, the fact that it did not add more line of Shema, so it's like they combining the psukim in the Torah together without adding more to that. Now, ve'anan ma'itama amrin alei. So if that's the case, what's the reason that we said Baruch Shem Kvod Malchuto? So he explained כדדריש רבי שמעון בן לקיש. ואמר רבי שמעון בן לקיש, this is a famous text at the end of book of Bereshit, Genesis chapter 49, when Jacob gathered together his sons before his passing. ויקרא יעקב לבניו ויאמר יאספו ויגיד עליכם את אשר יקרא אתכם באחרית הימים. Yaakov gathered together all his sons, and he said, come and I tell you what's going to happen at the end of the days. ביקש יעקב לגלות לבנם קץ הימין. So it means that Yaakov wants to tell them that what's going to happen at the end of the days. So, meaning that the time that's going to be exiled, the destruction of the temple, etc. It's like prophecy of Yaakov when this time will come to being. ונסתלקה ממנו שכינה. You ever watch or hear people that have out-of-body experience, or how do you call it, clinical death, and they come back and they said, we are limited for what we are allowed to say. For what, and some of them try to say and suddenly they forgot, they couldn't say it. Which is, in that sense, Yaakov wants to tell his son what's going to happen, but from heaven the divine providence did not permit him to do it. אמר שמא חס ושלום יש במיתתי פסול. So the Maharsha said maybe Yaakov was afraid that maybe one of my sons doesn't have the trust of Hashem in such a level, so they don't want to tell them what's going to happen in the future. כי אברהם שיצא ממנו ישמעאל ואבי יצחק שיצא ממנו עשיו, maybe one of my sons have one child that go astray, like my grandfather Abraham have one son that was Ishmael, or Isaac have one son that was Esau. אמרו לו בניו שמע ישראל. Israel meaning the father Jacob was also named Yisrael. Listen, our father Yisrael. Rashi said, Hashem Elokeinu, the Lord is our God. Hashem Echad, God is only one. And they elaborate on that. אמרו כשם שאין בלבך אלא אחד. The same way as you, our father Yaakov, have the monotheistic belief that there is only one God, כך אין בליבנו אלא אחד. The same manner, we don't have in our heart only one God. באותה שעה פתח יעקב אבינו ואמר, that moment Yaakov said, Baruch Shem Kvod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. So he blessed God that he understand that it's not, he cannot tell his sons the future upcoming event because they have something that it's not good, but other reason that only Hashem, the only God, know. So in a sense, Yaakov thanking God for not be able to express himself, to tell them the future, to reveal. Now, with that in mind, now the sages have a question. Should we, the descendants of Yaakov, should say this line, Baruch Shem Kvod Malchuto, between Shema and Ve'ahavta? Amre Rabbanan, Heichen Avi, the sages said, what should we do? Ne'emruhu, if we said Baruch Shem, that it's part of reciting the Shema, it's inappropriate. Why? Lo amaro Moshe Rabbeinu. Moses did not say it as part of the Torah, as part of Shema. So, lo nomru, if we do not say Baruch Shem, amaro Yaakov. It's also inappropriate. Why? Because Yaakov added to the word of Shema Yisrael. So therefore, hitkinu sheyehu omrim oto bachashai. So therefore, they said it in a silence. So the Tur Chaim Tafresh Yutet explains why we do it in Yom Kippur out loud. Magen Avraham too. Anyway, אמר רבי יצחק, אמרי דבר רבי עמי, משל לבת מחש יריחת ציקי כדי רע, it's like the daughter of king that smell a very tasty food, אם תאמר יש לה גנאי, it's inappropriate for her to express her desire in public. לא תאמר יש לה צער, but if not saying it, she cares sorrow. התחילו עבדיה להביא לה בחשאי. So the servants start bringing her in secret. So it means that we want to follow Yaakov Avinu and do it, but in a sense, in silent. So the greatness of Hashem, its expression in our language, the humbleness of God. So, but this is something that the sages said you should say it in silent manner. אמר רבי אבאו, התקינו שאומרים אותו בקול רם מפני תערומת המניעים. So, in order to avoid those heretics in those days, so the sages put a decree that we not say something that is inappropriate is silent, because those heretics said that we said something that is inappropriate, and that's the reason why we say it silently. ובנהרדיה דליקה מינים, by the city of the sages that's called Nahardea in Babylon, it was not they didn't have heretics. And hashta amrela bachashai. So they say it in a silent manner. תנו רבנן, 6 דברים עשו אנשי יריחו, 3 ברצון חכמים ו3 שלא ברצון חכמים. So again, 3 and 3, מרכיבים דקלים כל היום, וכורכים את שמה, הוא explained in המשנה, וקוצרים לפני העומר. So here we have a Rashi, you said כלומר, I explained it in my book, ביורי הכלומר ברש"י על הש"ס, לא הקפידו חכמים. So Rashi explained that there are 2 different categories here, and that's the reason why I think he used the word klomar. One category is that the sages reprimanding, the sages express their disappointment, and the way that the Rashash understand Rashi, the way I think it means, it's they're not angry, but the same token they are not rules in that way. It's like since it's not a biblical violation, and it's not even rabbinic violations, so therefore they didn't express anything. They totally let it go. Next, again, that's וקוצרים לפני העומר, ואלו הן שלא ברצון חכמים, and these are the least that it's not in the spirit of the sages. גודשים לפני העומר, soon we explain it, just based on what we said earlier, ופורצים פרצות בגינותיהם ובפרדסיהם. So they said they make breaches in the walls of the gardens and the orchard to feed fallen fruit. Why? להאכיל נשר לעניים בשני בצורת, to feed those fallen fruits to the poor people at the year of famine. בשבתות ובימים טובים, during Shabbat and festival, but those breaches were made during the week. ומתירים גמזיות של הקדש, and they are permitted to use consecrated branches of חרוב ושל שקמה. So that those carob and sycamore tree. דברי רבי מאיר, אמר לו רבי יהודה, רבי יהודה said, אם רצון חכמים היו עושים, if the previous one, all this putting the הרכבת דקלים הנפלטים, קוראים שמה, קצירה, before bringing the omer. So he said, יהו כל אדם עושים כן? So everyone, why it's only the people of Jericho? אלו ואלו שלא ברצון חכמים היו עושים, both the first 3 and the second set of 3 are not in the spirit of the sages. על 3 מיחו בידם ועל 3 לא מיחו בידם. Even the whole 6 are not good, but the 3 the sages reprimand them, and the 3 not. ואלו שלא מיחו בידם, and these are the 3 items that the sages did not express their unhappiness, right? מרכיבים דקלים כל היום. They combine those palm tree all day of Eve of Pesach, וכורכים את שמה, as we said, וקוצרים וגודשים לפני העומר. So I said, ואלו שמיחו בידם, מתירים גמזיות של הקדש, של חרוב ושל שקמה. As we said, ופורצים פרצות בגנותיהם ופרדסיהם להכין נשר לעניים, בשבתות ימים טובים בשני בצורת, ונותנים פאה לירק ומכרו חמים בידם. So, מידעו בידם חכמים. So basically you see here the list, and you end up by the said that the sages reprimand them for all of this. So the Gemarrah asks, so what we said earlier said according to the point of Rabbi Yehuda, all these 6 items was made not in the spirit of the sages. So how you said that apply to the harvest performance by the resident of Jericho? It says, וסבר רבי יהודה קצירה שלו ברצון חכמים, they do this harvesting not in against the will of the sages, ואתנן. We learned in the Mishnah in Tractate Menachot, page 71a, אנשי יריחו קוצרים לפני האומר שלא ברצון חכמים וגודשים לפני האומר שלא ברצון חכמים. They said that the people of Jericho will harvest before the Omer in keeping with the will of the sages, and they will pile the grain before the Omer against the will of the sages. So it means that the sages not oppose this process of harvesting, because it's not a biblical prohibition, as we said earlier in the Mishnah, in those valleys to cut this part, because it's not ready. It's not in the quality of this Omer, because it's not the best. It's not Tvu'ah Muvcheret. It's not the best one, and it's not even rabbinic prohibition. So they said, "Ve'lo michu bi'adam chachamim," but the sages did not reprimand them. 56b, Man shamat le'damar michu ve'lo michu. Who is the Tana that expresses his quote-unquote objections for the sages not reprimand them for piling? Rabbi Yehuda. It's going by Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda is the one, Rashi said, who divided between these three. Vekatane kotzrin birtzon chachamim. And we will learn that they cut before the Omer, the harvest before the Omer, it was in the spirit of the sages. So that's basically contradicted to what Rabbi Yehuda said in a Braita, that this harvesting before the Omer was not in the spirit of the sages. Ule ta'amich, according to what you said, that this Braita reconciled. Hanei arba'ahava. These are the least the writer mentioned that people of Jericho made, and the sages did not reprimand them. The truth is that there are 4, which are Harkava, number 1. Number 2, Korchim. Number 3 is the Ktsira. And number 4 is the Gdisha. So you have 4 different items. So they said, Ela Samei Mikan Ktsira. Delete harvest from the Mishnah here. Why? Because the whole idea of harvest, it should not be part of those lists, because this is not one of the things that the sages did not reprimand them for that. So it means that even according to that writer, Rabbi Yehuda hold that harvesting before the Omer was in the spirit of the sages. So it means that Krichat Shema and Gdisha, it was not in the spirit of the sages, but they don't express anything. And the Ktsira, the harvesting, is not even mentioned here. Next, ומתירים גם זיות של הקדש של חרוב ושל שקמה. They permit consecrated branches of charuv and sycamore tree. אמרו אבותינו לא הקדישו אלא קורות, ואנו נתיר בגם זיות של הקדש ושל חרוב ושל שקמה. So they said, look, our father consecrate only the tree trunks, and therefore we can permit the consecrated branches that have grown from the branches of charuv and shikma. So the same as we said in the Mishnah, it's like they differentiate in the consecration between the original and the derivative part. ובגידולים הבאים לאחר מכן עסקינן, וסתברא לה כמאן דאמר אין מעילה בגידולים. So again, let's explain it. Let's say you're giving a donation. You're giving a donation. Let's say you said, okay, I dedicate part of my yard to plant a seed tree that goes, the fruits go to feed people in yeshiva, for example, okay? And then you said, well, what I meant, then you notice that the tree is tremendously fruitful and multiply. Said, wait. What I meant is just the first harvest, which means whatever come at the first, but now the second time it's all mine. Right? So that's basically what happened to them. They try to differentiate between the ancestry, the original planting, and the derivative that come the second time. The sages were not happy with that, obviously. ורבנן סברי נהיד מילליקה איסורה מיהיקה. What's the claim people of Jericho said? They said, no, it's not misuse. We gave you the seed. And it was the consecrated. What happened afterward, that's not considering a misuse of consecrated item. Everyone understand? The sages said, you know what? If you go by the law, you can always try to find cutting corners, a gray area. So as far as the misuse, okay, we agree with you. It's not considering misuse of the consecrated property. But still you have here something that is a prohibition, it's a violation. Clear?
Yeah.
It's like someone asked me a question. He said that he's going to Europe. And he said that he needs to be over the weekend in Germany. And he told me in the city of Munich, they have a subway that goes underground. And the chances are that the whole people involved are not Jewish. And you basically don't carry anything. So he asked if he can use that on Shabbat. Okay? So as far as Shabbat violation, I answered and I said, it may appear to you that it's okay, but it is still forbidden. Why is that? It's the same spirit, it's the same idea. You may say that it's misuse of consecrated property, you, meaning people of Jericho, you're not in a category of misusing. But still, as far as the prohibition, you are in violation. The Torah is a living Torah. It has to make sense. It has to be something that we should understand, even things that it's not written. There is a famous Rekanati. It's one of the great rabbi of the 16th century of Kabbalistic, that he interpreted the whole idea of rabbinic writing that the way that the tablets came in was a black fire at the front of the white fire. So it was like the tablets in white fire of Hashem, and then the black fire came, and in engravement of the letters of the Torah, they put the fire of the walls, they fill up those engraved parts. So he said the original text, that nothing was written, have a lot of points that the black fire did not reveal. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, there is a lot of understanding that go without saying, that you have to use your common sense and deep understanding what's involved here. Anyway, ופורצים פרצות, that's part of the Mishnah. אמר אולה, אמר רבי שמעון בן לקיש, מחלוקת בשל מכבדות. So we said that since they created these breaches, so Ula said, name of Reish Lakish, this dispute between residents of Jericho and the sages with regard to date, no longer attached to the tree that fell onto the upper palm branches. Why? So he said, the Rabbanan Savrei Gzeira Hashem Hayaleh V'Yitlosh. You remember when we studied Shabbat, we studied the idea of Klisha, that it's a Av Melacha, that is one of the 39 biblical prohibition. Why? Because the Melacha itself, it's called Kotzer, meaning harvesting. And the Gemarrah said also in Beitza, Beya 36b, that's because he is going up on that palm tree to take it. So while he's doing that, he may cut those dates, and now he's in a Torah violation. ואנשי ריחו סברי, לא גזרינן שמעלה ויתלוש. They said, come on, this is our poor people, they need to go up to collect the food. So they said, if you should not have this concern that maybe someone go and cut. אבל בשל בין הקיפים, however, it's if you talk a lower palm tree, everyone agrees that דברי הכל מותר, that dates that fell into lower part, that it's permitted. He's not concerned that he's doing klisha. Tosfot here have a lot to say, but we don't have time. אמר לרבא, or the Bach said Rabbah, he said to Ula, והמוקצות נינהו, this date are muktzeh, they set aside. Why? Because think, on Friday when it's twilight, it was attached to the tree. So if it was attached, you cannot detach them. It's called muktzeh, it's set aside. So even they fell from the tree, but you go by the time before Shabbat, and what happened before Shabbat? If it was attached, it's already considering what? Muktzeh. And if it's muktzeh, you cannot carry it. You remember we studied מיגו? מיגו דהתקצאי בין השמשות, התקצאי לכולה יומא, since it was set aside at the time of twilight before Shabbat, so now it's forbidden for the entire Shabbat. So how are you allowed to take it? So there are some Rishonim say that they are basically detached, but you don't see it. Anyway, in a simple way, Ula asked, how come, Rabbi asked, how come Ula hold that everyone agree that you can take them? He said, what happened? The ravens can come, and you have people that raise raven. The Gemarrah said in Bava Metzia 113 that rich people in those days used to raise raven, used to have ravens. We're not talking about the team, we talk about real one, right? So what happened is, so he can bring the raven close to the palm tree on Shabbat in order for them to fly and eat from those dates. So it's not a muktzeh, and therefore whatever imagine the ravens running around between the branches, and meanwhile what happens? Some of the dates fall, right? So now people can use it in Shabbat. Hashta mukhan le'adam lo ave mukhan la'klavim. So, but it's still set aside and to use it for the animals, for the dogs. As you know, in Shabbat, it's included your animal, right? Ditnan, we study it in Shabbat, Tractate Shabbat, page 156. So Rabbi Yehuda Omer, im lo hayta nevela me'erev Shabbat. Rabbi Yehuda said, if it was not, the animal was alive and not crack on Shabbat Eve, which means that they are still alive, asura, lefi she'ena min ha'muchan, because it wasn't ready for those dogs. It's just before the slaughtering process for people. Mukhan la'orvin havei, mukhan la'adam. So if there is a food prepared for ravens, considered prepared for a person. Why? Because when it was alive, the animal prepared for human consumption during twilight, it's still prohibited to feed this nevela to the dog. Amar lei, Ula respond to Rava, ein, המוכן לאדם לא הווה מוכן לכלבים. Why? דכל מידה דחזה לאיניש לא מקצה למידעתו. If something is not ready for use for a person, he is not postponing it to use it for himself, so it's not considering use for the dogs. מוכן לעורבים הווה מוכן לאדם. If something is ready for the ravens, also for a person, כל מידה דחזית לאיניש דעתי לבי. Because he is set aside for his personal use, even it's ready for those ravens. כי את הרבין, אמר רבי שמעון בן לקיש, מחלוקת בשל בן הקיפין, רבנן שר ומוכן לרובין, לא אבי מוכן לאדם, אשר יכול שר ומוכן לרובין מוכן לאדם. אבל מכובדו דברי הכל אסור, גזרין השם מהלווית לו. So it's simple putting it, the big disputation is the lower part of the branches. So the sages hold that if it's prepared for raven, it's not prepared for the person. And the people of Jericho said that if the raven is prepared for a person, but upper branches, everyone agreed that they are prohibited. So why? Because the fear is that person climb on a tree and pick those dates. ונותנים פאה לירק. So here is one item that according to Rabbi Yehuda the sages not reprimand, was in regard to what? That the poor produce a corner in the field for of vegetable. The people of Jericho did not hold what we said in Mishnah and Tractate Pe'ah, the first chapter, Klal Amur Pe'ah. This is the rule that they said in regard to the set aside Kol Shu Ochel, anything that is befitting for food for a person, Venishmar, and his honor, put it, safeguarded, Vegidulo Mina Aretz, and they grows from the ground, Ulkitato Ke'achat, and is gathered as one, Umachniso Lekiyum, and one bring it in to store the preservation, Chayav Bepe'ah. So he is obligated for to put a corner in the field, to put a pe'ah. So now the Gemarrah elaborate what this list is all about. Kol shu ochel, anything that is food, prat lesfichei satit, satis vekotza. This is to exclude the aftergrowth of woad and safflower. Why? Because that's you make it for color, and it's very rough as a food. So they're doing the year. Rashi explained, even when you're harvesting it, it's already very hard for consumption. V'nishmar prat lehefker, and it's protected. It's come to exclude something that is ownerless, crops. So the owner is not safeguarded. Vegidulo min haaretz, and it grows from the ground. So this is prat lichmehin upitriot, to exclude tafred and mushrooms, because this is unlike other palms. It's not draw substance from the ground. It's all from the air. That's a famous Gemarrah in Brachot 40. Ulekitatan ke'echat, and you collected them, gathered them as one. Prat leten, excluding the fig tree, that it's not one time. That Rashi said that it takes time during the summer, the process of ready. Umachniso lekiyum prat liyarak, and bring it for preservation. It's exclude vegetables, because the vegetables you cannot store it for long period. So now the question is, how come the people of Jericho disagree with Mishnah that they said that this green is exempt from peah? So why they give a peah? Why they give that corner from that vegetable? Amar Yehuda Amar Rav, hacha berashei lefatot askinan. Here it's dealing with turnip heads. So it's not they cannot survive independently, only for short time. But if you combine it with the roots, it's different. If you bring it to life by combining with something else, that's the disputation. Mar Savar, people of Jericho hold that yerek machniso lekiyum davar acher shmei kiyum. If you combine it with the other, by combining the two, so now you have to bring a pe'ah. You put aside pe'ah. Mar Savar lo shmei kiyum. and the sages hold that it's not considering storage. So a person doesn't need to designate produce from his corner of the field for turnips. When we sang Shema, we said Shema Yisrael, Hear O Israel, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And then we said all year round, excluding Yom Kippur, Baruch Shem Kvod Malchuto, blessed be the name of God, glorious kingdom, Le'olam Va'ed, forever and ever. So we said quietly, but the Bach said that if one omits this line, he does not need to repeat the Shema if he omits the line of Baruch Shem. However, the Levush said that one must repeat Shema if he omitted this passage, and others require him to do so even he initially said it without the proper intention. It has become the universal practice among the Jewish people to recite the passage out loud on Yom Kippur, and for sure you can see the reason in Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 61. We also talked today about Hafrashat Pe'ah, cases that one leave the produce in the corner of the field. So this is a Rambam. He said, produce grown in the corner of the field need only be separated from plants that are primarily grown as food, protected as opposed to ownerless, like hefker. Draw sustenance from the ground, to exclude mushrooms harvested at one time as opposed to figs, and are stored for preservation, to exclude vegetables. So again, elaboration you see at the Rambam, Hilchot Matnot Aniyim, chapter 2.